I loved The Northman. I thought it was fantastic. It got snubbed. People didn't like it.
Cross it off the bingo card. He mentions The Northman. Cross it off. There it is.
It is what it is.
Live from Marshall, Minnesota, it's PBL. That's right, a little bit different intro here today because later on this episode, we're going to be talking about Saturday Night Live.
Live.
Well, I mean, we're not live.
No.
That actually was a little bit of a mislead.
Live to tape.
Yes.
Live to tape.
In this moment that we are living,
we're live.
Is happening live.
Yep.
When you watch it, it's not live.
The moment you're watching is not live, but the moment you are in while watching is live.
Did you get all that?
How about them apples,
okay, huh? This episode was going to be a little bit more of an SNL-centric episode, I feel like. But I don't know. Sometimes we just throw an audible.
Yep.
Every once in a while. Let's just jump right into the opening spotlight here. We need to talk about Joker.
The laughs. The jokes.
We need to talk about Joker 2, specifically. I was kind of surprised at some of the reactions over this past weekend.
Yeah.
And people were surprised by our reactions of it over this past weekend. So we're going to talk, we're going to do something a little unprecedented. Usually if we review a movie, we kind of at the end and we do a little quick little number. We're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive review here, I guess, of Joker Folie.
Folie.
You don't have to repeat everything I say just because you want to say something in a funny accent or whatever.
It's not a funny accent. It's you call them the French funny?
Yes.
Think I'm funny?
Yes. And not in a good way.
Do I amuse you?
Yes. And not in a good way. Anyways. We're gonna tackle a few questions here. Just talk about Joker in general here. First things first, let's just get this out of the way. Is it the worst comic book movie ever made?
No.
I would say no as well. But other people were saying that.
I think because the first one was so good and it looked so good and it had wild messaging and it just this movie just shouldn't have a sequel. And if it does, it shouldn't be a musical.
We're going to get into a little bit. I think I was planning on getting a little bit more into that. But no, let's talk about that right now. We mentioned this in the show last week. I remember so clearly they were like, yeah, we're just doing a one-off here. We just want to do a Joker story. And they were so adamant we were going to do one movie. And then as soon as I saw those box office numbers, I mentioned this last week, but I was like, any day now, they're gonna tell them to make a sequel. They're going to tell them to make a sequel. And sure enough, it happened. And I do think that this movie does show every once in a while, it's like, it's true colors of like, look, we didn't plan on a sequel, but we're kind of trying just something new here.
Yeah.
But this was not planned.
We have to make this, so we're going to try to do something cool. Yeah.
Let's just do something crazy with it.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, there's the people who call this the worst comic book movie of all time here. I did my own little ranking of DC Comics live action movies. I can come up with like 10 movies I think are worse than this one here, really. Yeah. But my laptop's a little slow.
You mean Avengers Age of Ultron?
I'm just talking DC Comics movies in general. Nah, I'd probably watch Avengers Age of... Well, I don't know. That one's got some scenes in it, too, that are pretty good. It's okay. I don't know. People forget how crazy Wonder Woman 1984 was.
Oh, yeah.
Do people forget how terrible the digital effects and everything was in Green Lantern?
What about Aquaman 2?
Yeah, I'd even watch this one before Aquaman 2 because Aquaman 2 was fine, but it was just pretty run-of-the-mill.
Yeah.
I'd watch this one before...
The Flash?
Nah, I'd probably watch The Flash over this one, actually. I think I have that one just ranked over this. Just a little bit. Barely.
Oh, okay.
Barely. Okay. No, but do people forget how crazy Superman 3 and Superman 4 were?
Yeah.
Superman gets drunk in Superman 3 and fights himself.
That's what you do.
I'm just saying. It at least kind of made sense in Joker when he's having these battles within himself because it's a musical. Was it in his head? I still don't know. I don't know. Just Supergirl, the 1980s Supergirl, she fought an excavator. I don't know. I think people have short memories.
Yeah,
because Madam Web came out this year.
Yeah, Madam Web came. I'd watch this over Madam Web
easily.
Yeah,
and I'd watch Madam Web over Morbius.
Yeah, another great point.
So I don't know. I feel like every once in a while we do, as a collective, jump on a movie and just be like, it's the Antichrist movies and all that. For some reason, just enough. I think it started off with legit critics who were like, well, look, it's not that great. There's some problems. In fact, I have more problems than there's issues. And then that just kind of snowballed.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's fair.
I agree. And I think like also the group of people that watched the first Joker movie aren't your traditional I bet half the people that watched the first Joker didn't watch Madam Web. Like, that's not the same audience. You're not going after the same audience. So when you have different audiences reviewing, then it's also a different thing.
Okay, so just for funsies. Okay, so I feel like we should also take this opportunity to kind of plug some of the other stuff we do here as far as movie reviews and stuff like that. Because one of the things I love about how we do things is we do that short review right when we come out of the theater.
Yep.
And then I generally do my kind of movie rankings and also give a few thoughts a few days later. Just to kind of show like the evolution of like, sometimes it takes me a few days to kind of come up with it. So I'm going to try on the fly here to connect my phone via Bluetooth to this thing so we can hear Uncut.
Try on the
we
fly.
did. What we said at the time. I was going to set this up earlier, but then I got busy. Connection unsuccessful. Okay, forget device.
Did you hit the pairing button?
There is no pairing button on here.
Oh
wait. Hold on. Here. Oh. Okay, so yeah. We're going to listen to what this is. So I cut some of our ums and everything when I post these on our social media stuff. So this is Uncut, and I'm curious, after we hear what we said, if we still stand by it or whatnot. So let's give this a try here.
All right. Well, I think I know what this year's couples costume for 2024 is going to be for Halloween.
100%. 100%.
Dibs on Lady Gaga. Anyways, yeah,
Still proud of that joke.
Joker Folie
Folie Deux.
Folie Deux. We still haven't figured out
No
how to
idea.
pronounce this thing.
Do it every time.
Yeah, okay. This sequel to the first Joker movie, Joaquin Phoenix returning. This time we're also getting a little bit of Lady Gaga acting in this as well. Yeah, there we go. You can see in the poster there. What are our thoughts on this one?
I really liked it. I enjoyed it. I like musicals. I like the era of music they were doing. The acting was phenomenal. I thought Joaquin Phoenix did awesome. So good.
I don't know how he dominates this role as well as he does.
Yeah.
Like, there's just something, another level Joaquin Phoenix is on here.
It's so good.
And also, I would also say to build on that point, I think this is Lady Gaga's best performance as well.
I would say for sure best in a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe could be best ever.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah, as far as the musical element, this is something we kind of talked about. This is one of... I honestly did not think I would ever see on the big screen a comic book movie musical.
Yeah.
There has been that concept before and everything.
And
I stand by that as well, by the way.
It's like 60s, 50s, 30s. Like, the music's great. I love it.
It went way more into it than I thought they were going to,
yeah,
for sure.
100%.
Yeah, I do. I'm with you. I like that era of music. I like that era of musical as well and everything. It was definitely an interesting blending. I think it could be tweaked and worked on a little bit. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think it was something new. We've been looking for something new in comic book movies, it feels like. This was something new and a little different.
Yes. Can't recommend it enough. Go watch it.
Yeah, check it out.
All right, yeah. So that was our Uncut thoughts here. Okay, so I know there's one or two things I definitely stand by, and one or two things I would maybe adjust my stance on. But I'm curious, after hearing that, because you really came out of this, I feel like you were kind of suppressing yourself when we were talking about it here. I thought you were even more like into it. And you even said the next day, the more and more you thought about it, the more and more you liked it. So kind of looking at it now, what do you think?
Yeah, it struck me because after the movie, I went back and I listened to a bunch of the songs off the soundtrack, and the music really got to me. I enjoy that kind of music and that style and that kind of different take on some of those classic songs. I really like that, and I still think Joaquin Phoenix was fantastic. I loved his I mean, in both films, just how he portrays Joker, I really like that. Are there some things in the movie that I think kind of go backwards from what the first movie said or like was trying to show? Yeah. There's, I don't want to give any spoilers, but kind of the end, not the ending, but the ending with Harley Quinn. It's like, it's hard because you almost feel like my idea of Joaquin Phoenix or of Joker changed after watching this movie. I feel like he was quote unquote cured or fixed or light at the end of the tunnel, like getting better. And then, and some people want the Joker, the villain, the evil guy. So like, I kind of like that. I know probably people aren't going to like that, but there's certain things I really enjoyed about the movie.
Yeah, I'll stand by the Joaquin Phoenix and the Lady Gaga part for sure. And there are other performances that we really can't even get into, especially during the trial scene, that I think are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I will also stand by the fact that I think the large group of comic book fans out there are hypocrites for saying for the past 4 or 5 years after Endgame, well, the comic book movies are so cookie cutter, rinse, repeat, and all that.
I agree.
We want something different. And then finally we got something different. And yeah, it wasn't the best right out of the gate, but it was finally something different. And then everyone just was like, well, not that different. I'm like, well, what do you want? What do you want?
Yeah.
People?
See, and I'm more of the dark, edgier kind of. This is definitely more dark and edgier than any Marvel movie. And I like that. Like, same people didn't like Batman vs. Superman. I didn't mind Batman vs. Superman. I thought it was good. But I'm not also married to the characters in the comic books, so I'm not in that space. But you don't have to be to enjoy or not enjoy a movie. So that's kind of where I'm coming at. Like, yeah, if you are a diehard, this fan and you didn't like the way, that's fine. Not everybody thinks the same way as you do. I loved The Northman. I thought it was fantastic. It got snubbed. People didn't like it.
Cross it off the bingo card. He mentions The Northman. Cross it off. There it is.
It is what it is.
I will say one thing that I did mention in our short review that I would expand on is the idea of there are room for tweaks and all that. I think they wanted to make a musical, but they didn't quite know how to make a proper musical from a story perspective. Because there are some really good song and dance numbers in this, as you kind of mentioned before. There are a few moments where it's sort of an awkward transition to the next scene. It's like, did you need a song here?
Yeah.
I don't know if you needed a song here.
I would say this movie could easily have almost the exact same beats, but have no music in it.
Oh, yeah, you could.
Without having any of the songs in it.
Yeah, you could do it.
Like, there's no... So... I don't know, but...
The only thing I wish they had done then, and again, this is just going back to, well, we were just going to make this one-off, if they had established a little bit more that Arthur was a big fan of musicals.
Yeah.
And that's why he's kind of... In the first Joker, I mean, they made it so that he wanted to be a comedian. He wanted to have a show.
Yeah.
But it never really implied that he wanted to be a singing, tap dancing show.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of a whiplash there.
Yep.
So I do think, I don't see this as a terrible Joker movie. I see this as a different Joker movie than I think a lot of people were expecting. And I do think there are some valid arguments as far as the plot and how it moves forward. And I do think a lot of that has to go with the fact that they were like, well, we first wanted to make a musical, and we didn't really much think about the rest of it and just kind of put it all together.
Kind of made it work.
But I personally think there are more good scenes than bad scenes. Now, it's like 60-40. If I watched it again, maybe it would get a little bit closer. Maybe there'd be a few more. But like I said, there's a few of those courtroom scenes especially that I really enjoyed. There are a few fun dance and musical numbers. Like when I'm going to spoil it a little bit here, but when Joker and Harley are kind of like escaping from Arkham and they're using the helicopter as like the spotlight. I thought that was a really fun idea. Yeah, this is what Joker and Harley breaking out of Arkham in a musical would look like.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
There's a surprise cameo from a comedian in there, which I thought was awesome.
Which you were the only one who got, which I'm not even sure if that's even Do we confirm that was him or not?
Yeah, people will recognize him. He's a comedian.
I'll take your word for it on that one.
Yeah.
But why do we think the movie flopped? They were projecting it would be less than the first one, but this one underperformed even more than they thought. Do we have any ideas on why we thought it flopped? Because I think you can only put so much credit into there were negative reviews going into it.
Yeah. See, and I'm the opposite. I hate because I also I don't trust other people with if they watched the movie and they said they didn't like it. That's fine. You could totally not like it, but what you say about it isn't going to influence what I think about it at all. Like, you might say that was the worst movie, it was awful, blah, 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 but until I see it, I'm not going to make that judgment because I could care less what, so-and-so from the New York Post writes about a movie.
But I would argue people like you and me are in the minority.
I agree.
And I think the positive reviews of Joker got the mainstream audience to it.
Yep. No, I agree with you because I think a lot of people put stock in what other people think about films before they go. And I understand that because you have to pay money. You don't want to spend a bunch of money and just be totally disappointed. I get that.
Movies are one of the only products you pay for that if you don't like, you don't get a refund.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I get why people do put stock in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can go up to the ticket counter and ask for a refund. More than likely, they're not going to give it to you.
Unless it's super early. If it's within the first few minutes of the movie, usually you'll get. But you don't know. Yeah, you don't know if you've been in the movie for over half the movie, they're not going to give you your money back. They might say, "Hey, you can go to a different movie."
Yeah,
but they won't.
I also wonder how much of the musical element did turn people away because the funny thing about it was. It didn't market itself as a musical, but I think we were both surprised at how many musical elements there were.
Yeah.
So I saw people who were kind of debating it flopped because it was a musical. First of all, musicals are very profitable more often than not.
Yeah.
So that argument, screw it. Second thing is a lot of people didn't know it was a musical. So you can't really use that argument either. So did people just not actually want a second Joker movie and nobody let Warner Brothers know this?
I think some of that is because the first one's so good. It's so contained. You have your story, beginning and end. That's it.
It felt like a one movie deal.
Yeah. You don't need anything else.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are, I think, going to go a little bit into the spoilers here because of the ending. Because of the ending, do we think there's going to be a Joker 3?
No. Joker 3 is Batman Begins.
Okay, so a lot of people try to connect this to the Nolan verse. It's not.
It is.
It's not.
It's in the movie. It's
Nolan and Todd Phillips, I think, have
canon.
Said,
it's just as canon as the last 3 Star Wars movies.
No,
100%.
It's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Okay. By the way, we're going to cut all this, by the way.
But
what are you saying?
I'm saying that...
I'm talking about the guy who killed... Sorry, Carter, mute yourself if you don't want to hear spoilers here. We're just going to have to go into this.
Yeah.
Easily 30s, mid-30s.
Mid-30s? Maybe. Did you watch Brokeback Mountain?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I was fine.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. What does that have to do with any of this?
That's what I say.
There's about to be a character who's going to die here on this set real quick. That is not an admission of guilt legal.
2 hours later.
We can't just take Jado and say it's officially part of Star Wars canon.
That's what they've been doing with the past few movies.
No, they haven't. They're officially under Lucasfilm banner. It's not our fault he sold his soul.
True.
You can't just do something and say, I'm doing this out of respect of someone and just automatically get a pass.
That's a good point.
If I go to a military cemetery and just start randomly putting heartfelt or handwritten messages and flowers to people I've never met, that would still be respectful, but the family may come up to me and be like, what are you doing that for? they'd still be kind of like, did you know him? Well, no. Did you know anyone who knew him? No. Well, then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just because I can.
Valid points. Yeah.
It's still kind of weird at the very least.
Yeah.
I could say I'm wearing this Batman shirt as an homage to Michael Keaton at that point.
Is that Michael Keaton?
No, but I could say it, and it's close enough.
Yeah.
It's yellowish. It's got the same symbol. Yeah, it's a little different size, but I'm homaging to Michael Keaton. I could say or do whatever I want about Michael Keaton now. I don't have his permission, but I can do it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the question I kind of want to end on. Do we think there's any future for comic book movie musicals? One of the craziest things I feel like I've talked about with this is the fact that these are two subgenres that I never thought I would see on a big screen.
Yeah, together.
Do we think there's a future?
That's a great, but this is the first one, right? Mm-hmm. The first one. So you know what that means? There's going to be an imitator. There has to be at least one more that somebody's going to watch this and say, that was awful. Excuse me. I could do a lot better. I could make something like, they have.
So you think this is going to motivate other creators? It's not going to scare them away?
Yeah, a little bit. I could see that because, how many times do Frozen on Ice? Well, I guess that's a musical. But, there's so many movies or shows that get adapted into plays or Broadway shows, and it'll happen at some point. Whether or not it's going to be good, that's a different story. But I think it will happen at some point.
It may take a while because I think back to the history of comic book movies, and you could argue the very first one was essentially like in the 1940s, a Captain America one. Mm-hmm. And it was cheesy, but it was of the time.
Yeah.
The next one wasn't until Superman nearly 2 or 3 decades later.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of where we started figuring out the formula there, I think, a little bit. So, excuse me. Now I got a burp too. It's contagious. I don't know. I think burps are contagious. I think and hope we'll see this sort of subgenre again. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. Unless, of course, like you kind of mentioned, other people are going to see that and be like, I can do it better.
Yeah. Or even it could be 5-10 years down the road, but somebody's like, oh, this Ironheart movie could be a great musical, I think, if we did this. Oh, yeah, it's a good idea. Remember when they did that with the Joker? That was really bad. What do we need to not do?
You could totally see that as dubstep, basically.
Yeah.
You basically get those same people who did dubstep because they got the armor and the helmets and everything. Oh, yeah. 100%. I'd be down for that.
Yeah. Something like that I could see, kind of goofy, but, it'd make it work.
This one may be the most difficult one for me here. The number 6 seed, Footloose, versus the number 11 seed, Karate Kid. Who's voting Footloose? Who's voting Karate Kid? I thought I was going to have to fight for that one. Nope. I thought for sure I was going to have to fight for that one. I had a whole argument ready to go.
Sorry,
he just crane kicked Footloose out of here. No more dancing. I'm going to get heat from my mom on that one. Okay. I don't know how much. That was we got about 40 minutes. I don't know how much.
Though. We should do this for more movies. I enjoyed this.
And I wish we could do more. It's just usually when I try to focus the opening spotlight on the big thing. The whole, I had planned for months we were going to do an SNL special. Whole thing here. I didn't know how we were going to do it. And then all of a sudden this week I was like, oh shoot, I got to come up with this. Well, let's just talk about Joker. I feel like we got a lot we can talk about Joker.
Yeah.
So we maybe we'll maybe do a little bit more of this. I don't know if another big movie. It kind of depends. It feels like we were the only two who liked this movie.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like there's other people that, if you really,
I shouldn't say that. I have noticed. Okay, so people who follow us on our Facebook, I did see in our comics that there were people who were kind of going the majority way. But I see you. There were people out there who said they liked this movie as well.
Yeah.
So we're not alone.
No. Yeah, and it's just one of those things, like, if you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine. I can see where people like it, and I can see where people don't like it.
And the people who don't like it, that's, like you kind of mentioned, that's fine. It's fine. I just hate the whole group of people who was like, this is the worst comic book movie ever made. I'm like, you all really did forget about Green Lantern, didn't you? Yeah. You all really, I mean, I get it. I want to forget about that movie too. But you all really forgot about Catwoman, didn't you?
Yeah.
Come on. You all forgot about Batman and Robin? You all forgot about that one too? Anyways. All right. Let's transition. Let's move on to the weekly preview here, unless you got any other thoughts. All right. We got it all out. Again, I apologize. I got a little heated there.
It was good. It was fun.
For like the first time in forever, it's like not freezing in here. So I might be red. I don't even know. No,
it was good. It was good.
All right. Weekly preview time. Let's talk about everything coming out here this weekend. Starting off Thursday, October 10th, Caddo Lake coming straight to Max. Family is finally starting to heal after a tragedy happened years ago when their youngest member of the family appears to have disappeared or was potentially taken. Set in sort of the swamps of Louisiana. I think I actually read this is actually an actual lake on like the Louisiana-Texas border.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Real swampy area.
It's actually named Caddo Lake and everything like that.
Oh.
So, yeah, lakes are different down there.
Yeah.
We live in Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes. It's like you could see the lake and the forest is around it. Lakes are different down there. It's like winding. It's like within the forest.
Yeah, it's like a swampy, marshy.
That's
a lake?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This seems pretty straightforward at first. Seems like a missing child mystery. There may be a supernatural element.
Yeah, well, it's M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes, I forgot to write that down. Thank you.
Produced
by.
How I don't know how it's going to connect. 'Cause a lot of his past movies have been connected a little bit, very, very faintly.
If this doesn't connect to The Village in some way,
yeah, like
I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, so I don't know. It looks okay. It's horror. It's spooky season, and this is the one on Hulu, right?
This is the one on Max.
We'll
talk about the Hulu one later.
Yeah.
On,
so that'll be. I'm on. Oh, I'll have to give an up. Well, probably not today. Next week, I'll give an update on my 31
I was going to
movies.
ask. Are you actually okay? So you're just going to watch 31 as best you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'm like one short maybe right now.
Okay, that's pretty good.
But some of it, I have to confess, I tried to do movies I haven't seen, but then obviously with family and kids, it's like.
Well, if you're watching with the kids for the first time, that's kind of of fun. That's
so we have to. So some of these are going to be really good and scary, and some are going to be
Scooby-Doo and Cyber Chase or something like that, which is a good movie. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But let's talk about the big ticket item then here. Friday, October 11th, Saturday night. Coming out on a Friday. Kind of confusing. Let's go back in time here for a second. Let's all jump in the time machine here. We're going to go to October 11th, 1975, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Rockefeller Center is 90 minutes away to the very first episode of Saturday Night Live. And whatever the opposite of a well-oiled machine is, that is what's going on here on set.
They do it at 10 p.m. Western time?
They do it, so it starts at 11:30 Eastern Time and in New York time.
Yeah.
So this is starting 90 minutes before air. So 11:30.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Because they do it in New York. Yep. Never mind.
But you bring up an interesting point. As someone who watches Saturday Night Live whenever I can, I always find it interesting as we are. Our time zone is really the perfect time for us.
It is.
It's because it starts at 10:30 and ends at the end of Saturday night.
Yeah.
Whereas in New York, only 1/3 of the show takes place Saturday night.
Yeah.
I've always found that weird.
Well, and like I think the same thing for sports. Like we have the perfect most like NFL games start at noon.
It's a perfect time.
Here out in California, that's 10 o'clock.
You gotta
out there 1 o'clock. Like it's weird. Sunday night games, Monday night games. Those are super late or super early.
This is the penance we get for the winters we have to deal with.
It's
like all right, you got to deal with the winters, but you're going to be the perfect time for primetime television.
Yep. Prime time is for you, baby. Perfect.
Anyway, so this is basically talking about the 90 minutes before the very first episode of Saturday Night Live. So a little bit of television history here. SNL just started its 50th season here. And not only that, like I said, the very first episode took place October 11th, 1975. This movie's coming out October 11th.
Oh, pretty cool.
They put thought into it, is what I'm trying to say.
It would have only been better if the October 11th was a Saturday.
Yeah.
That would have been the only thing.
Yeah, but hey, it landed on a Friday. That's pretty close.
That's pretty close.
50 years later, that's pretty close.
Yep.
I'm a pretty big fan of SNL. I did not know the first episode was such a crapshoot going into it. I have a feeling I'm going to learn some things with this one.
I think so too. And it'll be the cast looks pretty good. There are some like well-known and some little lesser-known actors, but they all look to be fitting the part really well.
I think this is the second movie Dylan O'Brien's in, because he was in that Cato Lake one too, and he's playing Dan Aykroyd in this one.
Oh, yep.
Unless, of course, it's a different Dylan O'Brien, which I don't think it is.
You never know.
Dylan's a pretty common name, I guess. But yeah, I'm super looking forward to this one just because I'm a big SNL fan, so I kind of want to see the craziness that happened right before this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you got William Dafoe in it too.
Yeah,
as like an
can't
NPC.
go wrong with William Dafoe.
I've heard a lot of great things about this. Super looking forward to it. Also coming out this weekend, Piece by Piece, coming straight to theaters as well. This is a documentary that focuses on musician Forel Williams, told in Lego.
Yeah.
It's an interesting choice.
It's an interesting concept. I think it's unique.
Now, yeah, when we talk about Lego stop motion, I'm talking like the same animation style that you saw in like the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie.
Yep.
Where it looks like stop motion, but it's clearly like
now it's
animated.
Lego Forel movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Because I've never really associated Forel with Lego, but it seems like this was his idea.
Yeah, and I don't get it because our kids, young kids, like, do they like Pharrell Williams? I don't know. I was listening to Slipknot when I was a little kid. I was listening to Pharrell Williams. So
but you
are awesome.
Yes, you matured, I think, in your content quicker than most people.
Yeah, I don't know, like, if this is the demographic of his audience. I don't know.
Maybe this is his way to get that demographic, because he did start off in the rap game, and now he has done, he's done music for the Minions and stuff like that. So he's like,
oh yeah.
So like, I think he's kind of balancing it.
Yeah, that's a good
this
point.
may be a way of him like getting a younger audience.
I guess I didn't know he made Minions music.
Yeah, he did he did Happy. I was gonna say, I think he's done. Yeah, I think he's done.
Well, then again, also those Minion movies. There's a lot of like older, young adults that are like still into those. Like, remember they were dressing up in suits. And
yeah.
So like,
I remember I had to clean those theaters after those movies.
Yeah.
I swore an oath never to watch those movies because of that. Y'all are animals. Anyways, yeah, I think it's an interesting choice. I do think there's another reason for this, is because there are more and more documentaries being made about musicians. You have to find ways to stand out.
Yep, and this is great for him.
Yeah. Also coming out this weekend, The Last of the Sea Woman, coming straight to Apple TV Plus. Another documentary that is set in South Korea, tells the story of a group of women known as the, and I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation right here.
Don't butcher it.
I know I'm gonna. I'm just getting in front of it. The Haeyeon.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Haeyeon.
It's pretty good.
That's what we're gonna go with here. Basically, they're kind of like scuba divers / fishers, except for they don't use oxygen tanks. They just kind of dive.
Free diving, yeah.
Yeah, they free dive. Thank you.
Yep.
And they just kind of collect fish, do stuff, and then sell it to the public. But it's a little bit more natural.
Yep.
But in this day and age, it's hard to do things the old ways when industrial fishing is a thing and the demand is higher.
Including.
Yes. And that's another big part of this documentary is there's a nuclear waste plant nearby that's going all Homer Simpson on them and dumping all their stuff in there. And it's like, I wouldn't want to swim in that.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Heck no. So this is their way of kind of trying to getting attention to it and try and make some changes here.
Yep.
Because it does look like very beautiful water.
It does. And it looks like those are, that kind of job profession is very connected or grounded with like nature. And obviously there's problems going on all around the world that's eroding nature. And just one other thing to think about and help prevent.
Yeah. Also coming out this weekend, straight to Netflix, Lonely Planet. Laura Dern plays a writer who decides to take a solo trip overseas to clear her writer's block. She ends up meeting another guy played by Liam Hemsworth, and long story short, they end up having an affair. Mm-hmm. Both of them, because they both have special someones, whatever. Call me crazy. Maybe I've lost count. Isn't this like the third movie we've talked about with this sort of plot line?
Yeah.
Older woman, younger guy.
And this kind of goes into, I like Lauren Dern.
Mm-hmm.
I like Liam Hemsworth.
Yep.
I like both of them. This movie does absolutely nothing for me.
I do wonder if part of it is because there have just been a few other movies like this year.
The whole premise, all of it, just not for me.
I guess that's fair. You were pretty against those ones before as well.
Yeah, anything that's super like, I don't like to say the word emotional, but because there are a lot of movies that are very emotional but aren't as cheesy, flowery. I don't know.
This is a high-produced Hallmark movie.
Yes, and I can't stand those. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm generally of the mindset like two consenting adults. As long as you're of age, is fine. But I mean,
care.
You're both having an affair. Can't be doing that.
Yep.
Can't be doing that.
There was like maybe a masked murderer running around that was killing people off at this retreat, and they were still trying to find love while all this was going on, that might...
I was going to say, it looked like the same restaurant they were at Speak No Evil.
Yes.
I have expected James McAvoy to come out and be like, hey, you two want to come to my farm?
Yeah, if this turned out to be something like his girlfriend finds out and gets super mad and does something, all for it. But just, let's sit.
Speak No Evil
Let's
prequel.
sit and talk about our feelings for an hour and a half, 2 hours. No. Can't do it.
That'd be the greatest crossover of all time.
And I'm getting worse as I'm maturing.
All right, let's just move on to the last one here then. Coming out to Hulu, Mr. Crockett. This is the one I think you were referencing before. Hulu is doing this thing they call Hulu Ween.
It's awesome.
I mean, it is awesome, but the pun is a little forced, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But they release a lot of original scary content for the month of October. This movie features a fun kids show, sing-along, on a VHS.
Yep.
Actually, it's a demon who's kidnapping kids and killing their parents.
Yeah. I think it looks sweet.
I do think it looks pretty fun. Basically, I like to think if this is like if Barney jumped out of the screen and started going all Jurassic Park on everyone.
Yeah.
It would kind of ruin Barney, for sure.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'd be like, look, I get it. It's in your nature. You're T-Rex. But, like, do you have to do it in the kids' homes?
Yeah.
Like, they live here, bro.
Yeah.
Anyways, this has all the elements of, like, a fun B-level horror movie that knows it's a B-level. And in those movies that know it, those are the best ones, I feel like.
Yeah. It gives me, like, The Ring mixed with... just from the aspect of coming out of the TV and it being there, but like almost like the neon glow kind of look to it. I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be good. It's definitely going to be on my list. And yeah, Hulu Ween. I like when I can go to a streaming service and they have, here's all of our Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
Boom. That's exactly
during the month of
what
October.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing at that point then. But that is everything coming out here this weekend. Let's talk about some things we've seen in the past here with some number one recommends. I'll do mine real quick. In the theme of DC Comics.
Joker 2.
No. Almost. No, I am. There was two conversations I saw online, how much people hated Joker 2, but how much people love the Penguin. I think only episode 2 is out right now. It's pretty good.
Have you watched it?
I've seen some. I haven't watched episode 2. But I've seen enough of it to know that it is pretty freaking good.
Really?
Colin Farrell is still doing great. Christina Milioti, I think is her name. Probably best known at, what was it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna actually help me out there. No,
if I could, I would.
She was probably best known as the mother from How I Met Your Mother. She was great during that, and she's really freaking good in this too.
Okay.
I think she's really, really good in this. So, yeah, okay. If I can't convince you to see Joker 2, which I get, at least go watch The Penguin. Because I think it's set shortly after the Batman. And I think I just read Batman 2 is going to take place shortly after this show.
Is that
so it's all pretty tied.
Is that coming out relatively soon, next year?
2025, I think.
2025? Okay. Sweet.
I think. Hopefully. But yeah, what do you got? What are you recommending?
Well, first, that's awesome because I've also heard good things about Penguin, and I think I'm gonna wait till they're all out, and then so I can watch them over a weekend.
I'm probably gonna do that with Agatha Harkness, but Agatha all along, whatever it's called, I don't care. Anyways, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good. I'm going to go with the Ween original, Hold Your Breath. This is the one we talked about the other day with the sandstorm, Dust Bowl. I liked it a lot, actually. I haven't seen many horror movies take place during it would have been the 30s.
Dirty 30s,
yeah. Dirty 30s. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Sarah Paulson.
Sarah Paulson. She's awesome.
See, that's what it looks like when someone interrupts to help fellow
Appreciate
co-host.
it. Appreciate it. It kind of dives into is this real? Is this not real? Is this an actual drifter happening, or am I losing my mind? And like that kind of trope, we kind of talk about the trope of women with sleeping aids to going crazy. We kind of talked about it.
There was just so much of that last week.
Yeah,
there was just so much of that.
If you're looking for something different, it's a little bit of a slow burn, but it kind of picks up once you meet quote unquote the stranger. So yeah, it's definitely worth a shot, especially if you like Sarah Paulson. She does a good job.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. If you want access to more scary movies and you maybe can't find them on streaming services, or you want to watch them in a different format, check out our display. See if some of our recommendations are there and everything like that. We have them over at the Lyon County Library here in Marshall, Minnesota. Check it out. They usually put some of their own recommendations as well as far as some scary movies. I haven't seen yours yet, but I tried to keep it a little. I think I did a few that were sort of a little bit more kid-friendly-ish. Some that are a little bit more scarier. I'm not sure what was kind of what's one? What's just one? As a little tease. What was one you?
Well, I'll give you two as a tease. One of my kids' ones and one of my foreshadowing / original horror / awesomeness. One was The Great Boo, or the Charlie Brown one.
Oh, I almost did that one.
Yep. And then my foreshadowing one was the original Nosferatu.
Ooh, yep.
Because it's a vampire film.
That's a good one.
And it may be foreshadowing about this
You're
feature.
definitely going to want to grab that one because the new movie coming out later this year, you're definitely going to want to watch that one before that. And make sure. So, yeah, that's a really good one, actually. Yep. That's a really good one. Go over there, check that out over at the Lyon County Library right now. For myself, Ryan, and Carter up in the booth, I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.